welcome back to B.Y.C Crochet. Today we have a special video. It's going to be a pretty short video, and it's going to be a tutorial on how I do the beginning of my rectangular granny cluster blanket. Everybody's been asking me if I could do a tutorial, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to show you really quick what it looks like. As you can see, there's no seam in the middle, or what I call a spine. To me, I think the spine makes it look really gappy, and I don't like that, so I have worked this up in a different kind of way, and I am going to show you how to do it. So let me go ahead and show you really quick. So you see, it's not gappy at all. I think it gives a really nice clean finish. I'm still working also on this blanket. I am going to do the tutorial in a different color because I tried doing it in this really beautiful yarn, but it's really hard to see. So I also asked for a little bit of grace, only because this desk is new to me. The height is a little bit different. The camera setup, I'm still trying to figure it out, and I was kind of in an awkward position, and I was having a hard time gripping my work, my piece, my yarn, and my hook. I don't know if it was because I was sitting maybe in an awkward way, but needless to say, I believe that you should be able to understand what is happening. And if not, if you have any recommendations, by all means, I'm always open to constructive feedback. Feel free to let me know what your thoughts are, what your recommendations are. If you like it, if you don't like it, I'm open. You know, I'm far from perfect. I don't pretend to be, and this is a learning process for all of us. So let's go down there and check it out, and I will come back in just a minute. Well, maybe not just a minute, but in a few minutes. Okay guys, so we're going to go ahead and do the beginning of a rectangular granny square blanket. This is a way that I like to start my blanket. It's a little bit different than the norm. I like the way it looks. It's a little bit, it has a more polished look, a more finished look. And so I hope you enjoy it. We are going to start a chain of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We're going to chain another 2 stitches, and we're going to do a double crochet on our third chain from the hook. Get this in here. I'm a very tight crocheter, and a lot of times it comes back to bite me. So sometimes it's hard for me to get into my own stitches because I am such a tight crocheter. So we're going to go ahead and continue doing double crochets across our foundation chain. Okay, once you have completed the double crochets across the way, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. Then you're going to do a stacked single crochet in between these first 2 double crochets. Okay, so in this space right here, we're going to do a stacked single crochet. So we're going to go in, single crochet, go into this stitch right here, and another. That counts as my first double crochet, and I'm going to end up doing another 2 double crochets to make it a granny cluster. Okay, so that's actually one of my corners right there. Then I'm going to skip, 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 and in between these 2 double crochets I am going to do another granny cluster. Now we're going to skip, 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 and do another granny cluster in between those double crochets. Skip, 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 and in here we're going to do another granny cluster. As you can see, I'm not chaining. I'm just doing granny clusters, and I'm not chaining any spaces or anything in between the granny clusters. Okay, then we're going to skip, 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 and in between the last 2 we're going to also do a granny cluster. We're going to chain 2 because we're doing our corner right here. We're going to do another granny cluster. We're going to chain 2. We're going to do another granny cluster in that same space. We're still working in that very same space. And this is what we just completed. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to skip, 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 do another granny cluster in this section right here, which is right across from this one. Then skip, 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 another granny cluster on this section. And then once we get to the corner here, we're going to do a granny cluster, chain 2, granny cluster, chain 2, and slip stitch to the top of that first stacked single crochet. Okay, and that's how I make my foundation for my rectangular granny square blanket. So let's go ahead and work on that. Now, when you get to the last one, I was going to mention really quick, you can leave your tail out and sew it in later on, or you can go ahead and work it into your work. That is totally up to you. I'm going to leave mine out. So that's the first granny cluster. We're going to chain 2, which is our corner. Then we're going to, let me move that. Then we're going to do the next granny cluster. Chain 2, and then we're going to 1, 2, and slip stitch on top of this double stacked single crochet. And this is what your foundation should look like. So again, it's a nice, it looks to me much more of a finished, more polished, nicely squared. And so now you can either, if you're one of those individuals who likes to turn your work, you can go ahead and turn your work and head in the opposite direction. That's perfectly fine. I basically, what I do is I slip stitch 2 more, and then I go into this space right here and I do a stacked single crochet that counts as my first double, and then I do another 2 double crochets to complete my granny cluster. And then I go around and around just like you would any other granny square blanket or granny rectangular blanket. You do a granny cluster in every space, and in every corner you do your granny corner, however you do it. Normally what I do is that I go around the first 2 rows and I do 2 spaces in the corner. Once I get to the 3rd space, I only do 1 space in each corner. And that's basically it. So for me, as I mentioned, I like to already slip stitch 1. So I'm going to slip stitch 2, slip stitch 3, and then in space I'm going to do a stacked single crochet, which counts as my first double crochet. Then I do 2 more double crochets, and that makes my first granny cluster. And then I just keep going around your corner here, keep going, corner here, and you keep on going till however big you want. If you want to make a placemat, then not so big. If you want to make a blanket, then you just keep going as big as you want. I'm currently making a blanket for a friend. I think I may have shown you the beginning of the video, but just in case, I'll show you right now again. This is what the blanket looks like. It just started, so it's still in the beginning stages. This is the back. This is the front. And look at that beautiful center. There's no gaps, there's no line, there's no what I call the spine of a rectangular granny square blanket or granny blanket, rectangular granny blanket. You have no spine, which is usually what happens when you do the chain and then you do the clusters off of the chain. So I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. It's really simple. If you guys have any questions or if I confuse anybody, by all means put a comment down below and I'll try to respond, and either we can touch base and I can either show you or I can do another video and kind of clarify whatever questions there might be out there. I hope you enjoyed it. From the Yarny Cave, peace. I pray you guys have a blessed morning, noon, night, evening. We will see you soon. Bye.